This small body of water, barely visible on a world map, has been the stage for empires clashing, civilizations trading, and modern nations fighting for control. Yet most people couldn't point to it on a map. The Sea of Azov, the shallowest sea in the world, a geographical anomaly that has shaped the destiny of everyone who has lived along its shores for thousands of years. Today, we dive into the world of this lesser-known sea, where geography isn't just a backdrop to history, it's the main character. To understand why this small sea has outsized importance, we need to first start with the basics. The Sea of Azov sits nestled between Ukraine and Russia, connected to the larger Black Sea by only the narrow Kerch Strait, just 3.1 kilometers at its narrowest point. With an area of roughly 39,000 square kilometers, about the size of Switzerland, the Azov is tiny compared to most seas. But what makes it truly unique is its depth. With an average depth of just 7 meters and maximum depth of only 14 meters, it's the shallowest sea in the world. And this shallowness makes the Azov extraordinarily sensitive to environmental changes. In winter, it often freezes over completely. In summer, it can warm to comfortable swimming temperatures. And these seasonal transformations have dictated human activity here for millennia. The sea receives water from several major rivers, most notably the Don and the Kuban. These rivers don't just bring fresh water, they carry enormous amounts of sediment and nutrients, making the Azov one of the most biologically productive bodies of water on Earth, or at least it used to be. Until the mid-20th century, this sea produced more fish per square kilometer than any other body of water in the world. A single hectare of the Azov could yield up to 80 tons of fish annually, about 40 times the productivity of the open ocean. The reason? Those nutrients from the rivers, combined with the shallow depth allowing sunlight to penetrate through the water column, created perfect conditions for phytoplankton, the foundation of the marine food web. And the Sea of Azov as we know it is geologically young, only about 5,000 to 6,000 years old in its current form. But the story of how it formed stretches back many millennia. 18,000 years ago, during the last ice age, this entire area was dry land. As the ice melted and sea levels rose, the Mediterranean spilled into the Black Sea basin and eventually into what would become the Azov. The sea has been shrinking and expanding throughout human history. Ancient Greek texts from the 5th century BCE describe a much larger sea than what we see today. The constant deposit of sediment from rivers has been slowly filling this shallow basin, a process still happening today. And the sea's unique geography has created remarkable features like the Arabat Spit, a narrow sand spit stretching 113 kilometers. Features like this demonstrate the dynamic nature of this young body of water, constantly being reshaped by currents, sediment, and human activity. The climate around the Azov is continental, hot summers and cold winters, with relatively little rainfall. And this climate, combined with a shallow depth, creates extreme seasonal variations in water temperature. In winter, the entire sea can freeze solid for months, and in summer, water temperatures can reach 30 degrees Celsius, and these variations have profound effects on the ecosystem. The Sea of Azov traditionally supported over 80 fish species and 300 invertebrate species. Key commercial species include sturgeon, herring, anchovies, and bream, but this rich ecosystem has faced mounting pressures over the past century. Beginning in the Soviet era, dam construction on the Don and Kuban rivers drastically reduced freshwater flow and sediment input. Industrial pollution, agricultural runoff, and overfishing dealt further blows. And today, commercial fish catches in the Azov are less than 10% of what they were back in the 1950s. The sea's delicate salinity balance has also shifted, historically averaging about 1/3 the saltiness of the ocean. Increased water use upstream have made the sea saltier, changing which species can thrive here. And for as long as humans have lived along its shores, the Sea of Azov has shaped their destinies. The ancient Greeks established colonies here as early as the 17th century BCE, calling it the Matoian Swamp or Lake Matois. The sea witnessed the rise and fall of the Scythians, Sarmatians, Goths, Huns, Khazars, and countless other peoples. Its strategic position made it crossroads of civilizations and a coveted prize for expanding empires. The sea has always been both a connector and a barrier, bringing cultures together through trade while also serving as a natural boundary between different political entities. Today, the Sea of Azov sits at the center of one of the world's most tense geopolitical standoffs. The Sea of Azov faces environmental challenges that transcend political boundaries. Warming temperatures are affecting ice cover, altering fish migration patterns. Increasing drought in the region means less fresh water flowing into the sea from rivers, potentially making it saltier over time, and this could fundamentally transform its ecosystem in the upcoming decades. In addition, pollution remains a serious concern. As one of the most industrialized regions of the former Soviet Union, both the Russian and Ukrainian shores host steel mills, chemical plants, and other heavy industry. Agricultural runoff brings fertilizers and pesticides into the waters. Despite these challenges, there are efforts to restore and protect the sea's ecology. Scientific models track water quality and fish populations. Some polluted areas are showing signs of recovery as industrial practices improve. The future of the Sea of Azov depends on cooperation between the nations that share its shores, a proposition complicated by current geopolitical realities. Yet the sea itself remains, as it has for thousands of years, a force that connects as much as it divides. The Sea of Azov hosts a remarkable variety of ecological communities, each adapted to the sea's unique conditions, and let's explore the diverse habitats and the complex web of life they support. Along the shores, extensive reed beads and coastal marshes create critical transition zones between land and sea, and these wetlands act as natural filters, trapping sediments and pollutants before they reach open water. They also provide critical nesting habitat for dozens of bird species. And below the surface, the sea floor itself forms distinct habitats. Sandy bottoms dominate much of the sea, while areas near the river's mouth feature fine silt substrates. And in clearer areas, seagrass meadows provide critical spawning grounds for fish. These underwater prairies produce oxygen, stabilize sediments, and offer protection for juvenile fish. 1 square meter of seagrass can hold up to 40,000 small fish and millions of invertebrates. Perhaps the most famous are the Azov sturgeons, ancient fish that have existed since the time of dinosaurs. 6 sturgeon species once thrived here, including the beluga sturgeon, that could have reached length up to 7 meters. Today, all sturgeon species in the Azov are critically endangered due to overfishing, damming of rivers that block spawning runs, and pollution. 3 cetacean species visit the Sea of Azov: harbor porpoises, common dolphins, and bottlenose dolphins. These marine mammals follow seasonal fish migrations, entering through the Kerch Strait in spring and departing in autumn before the sea freezes. Their presence indicates a functional ecosystem despite the many pressures it faces. The shores of the Sea of Azov are dotted with cities and towns whose identities have been shaped by their relationship with this unique body of water. On the northeastern shore lies Taganrog, founded by Peter the Great in 1698 as Russia's first naval base on the sea. Also known as the birthplace of Anton Chekhov, one of Russia's greatest writers, the city's merchant culture and seaside setting influenced many of his works. Mariupol on the northern shore grew from a Cossack settlement into a major industrial center. By the late 19th century, it had become a crucial export hub for the coal and steel produced in eastern Ukraine. The Sea of Azov's warm summers and sandy shores have also made it a popular vacation destination. Resort towns like Yeysk in Russia drew thousands of domestic tourists each year. The shallow waters heat up quickly and stay warm through early autumn, making them particularly family-friendly. Some communities have harnessed the sea's unique geography for resource extraction. The Sivash Lagoons, also known as the Putrid Sea for their strong odor, are hypersaline waters separated from the main body of the Azov by the Arabat Spit. Here, salt has been harvested for centuries, with the shallow pools naturally evaporating to leave behind valuable minerals. And these coastal urban centers face a common set of challenges. Balancing industrial development with environmental protection, managing fishery decline, and adapting to changing climate conditions can affect both the sea and the city's future prospects. And thus, the Sea of Azov may be small on world maps, but its significance looms large in understanding how geography shapes ecosystems and human history. This shallow body of water has created unique habitats, supported countless generations of fishermen, and witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations along its shores. And as we've seen, the geographic features that make the Azov unique, its shallowness, its sheltered position, its rivers bringing nutrients from a vast watershed, have determined both its ecological richness and vulnerability. And the same features that make it one of the world's most productive fisheries also makes it especially sensitive for human impacts. And as always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like content like this, subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.